back to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast. Jason Dillon from Hard Money Bankers, Ian Horowitz from Equity Warehouse. Back in studio, Dave Seymour. We had a blast talking to Dave a few weeks back. If you haven't checked out that episode, feel free to do that. We wanted to invite him back to talk about a deal that changed his life. Might be a good deal, might be a bad deal, but it's a deal that changed Dave's life. Dave, thanks again for joining us. Maybe just if you want to do a real quick intro again, and then just dive into some sort of deal that changed your life.
Yeah, it's always the first one. Anyway, long story short, firefighter, real estate guy, seminar graduate. One of the first strategies they taught us in the seminar world was the wholesale transaction, right? In the single family business. So I come into real estate when everybody else is running away, kind of like my firefighting career, right? When everybody else went running out, we went running in. It was the same with real estate. So I started in that 2008, 9, 10 era. People would say, what do you do? What do you do for a living? I'd say, I'm a real estate investor. And they go, oh, I'm sorry. And then they'd step away from you like it was a disease, like it was something you could catch. But I'm trying as hard as I can this wholesale deal. And in the market in Massachusetts at that time, there was this massive amount, as I'm sure you appreciate, of what were called REO deals, real estate owned assets, because the bank had foreclosed and taken so much because of the subprime lending debacle. Everybody said you could not wholesale a bank-owned asset. And I'm like, there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. I talked to a couple of mentors that I had, and they shared with me the ability to transact real estate through a trust. Okay, through a trust agreement, a real estate trust. You could do it through a family trust, land trust. It's just a document that you can move real estate through without having any specific ownership on an individual. So I learned this strategy of using a trust. And there was this two-family property. This realtor calls me early in my career, two-family property in my district where I worked as a fireman, right? And the guy who owned it had refinanced it. I think it was around $575,000. The guy had taken all the money out. The copper was gone. The floors were gone. The toilets were gone. The wire was gone. Everything's gone, man. It was, it was like an apocalyptic type environment back then. So I go into this property, and all there was there were like 50 pigeons living on the third floor, right? So I'm with my guys on the engine company, and I'm like, this is a great deal. And my boys are like, you're out of your freaking trees, dude. What do you mean it's a great deal? I said, go get the hazmat suit out of the truck. He goes, what? I go, get me the hazmat kit. He goes, why? I said, just do as I tell you. So I throw on like the white hazmat stuff, the low-level hazmat. And I have my boy with his, we didn't have iPhone cameras back then. He had like it's called an iFlip type camera. It was the coolest thing under the sun. I said, I want you to take pictures of me shoveling pigeon shit. He goes, why? I go, because it's a hazardous material. He goes, okay. So I go back to the bank and I said, I will buy that property. I said, you've got it listed for, I think it was 75,000 or something. I said, I'll buy it for 35,000. And the guy says, there's no way we can do that. I said, well, actually, I think you might have to. I said, somebody called the fire department, and I have proof and pictures of them taking hazardous materials out of your property. You might want to give me a steep discount. So the guy looks at the pictures. He didn't know I worked for the fire department. He looks at the pictures. He says, all right, what can you give me? I said, 20,000. He goes, there's no way we can go down to 20. The guy had a $575,000 mortgage on it. And I negotiated it up to like 30,000, get it under contract. And I wholesaled that piece of property through a realty trust. Never had ownership of it myself, to another investor. That other investor came in. They became the overall owner of the trust agreement. And then they designated the beneficiary as one of their businesses. And that deal ended up netting about $35,000. That, guys, is a deal that changes your freaking life. That's what changes your life. Something like that. The ability to work within a system legally, honestly, and ethically, and to execute on that deal. And then my boys in the firehouse are like, what did you do? because I show them the check. I say, remember when we were shoveling pigeon shit? This is the outcome. They're like, what did you do? And I tried to show them.
Yeah. And then they all wanted you to buy dinner that night. Beers on Dave at the bar, shift party. This guy's got all the money. And you try showing them, and they're like, nah. But they don't want to put the work in. But, yeah, dude, that's definitely a deal that changes your life. I remember my first deal was a Section 8 rental, and all I heard from the boys at the kitchen table was, you're going to be like all those ghetto other houses we go in and out. I'm like, no, not even close, but okay. And, just sometimes it's fun to prove the boys wrong. But you got to shun those haters out. Otherwise, you would never do another deal. So, dude, that's awesome. It just goes to show you that it takes, if there's a will, there's a way, right? Because obviously there's something burning inside of you that made you want to do that deal, right? Most people would bail out and say, F it, it's too hard, So
commitment. Once you make a commitment, it's go time. You can't double back on that stuff. You got to go. So yeah, that was a good deal. Many more to follow.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's awesome. You guys can check out the episode we did a few weeks ago with Dave, where he talks about his early days and the other deals that he did all through his career. Dave, where's the best place people can find you on the interwebs? They want to learn more about what you're doing, or try to find your old TV show.
Yeah, if you Google Flipping Boston, I'm sure you can find some YouTube videos. There's actually one in Hungarian, if you like to listen to me with a Hungarian accent. They dubbed that bad boy. I sound pretty sexy as a Hungarian, I'm just telling you. If education and to learn how to passively invest in real estate is something that's of interest to you, you can grab us over at legacyalliance.club. There's a ton of stuff there for you. If you want to go straight to the investment opportunities that we throw into the market, you can find us over at freedomventure.com. Google me, find me on LinkedIn, Dave Seymour on LinkedIn. There's Facebook pages, there's all that silliness out there. If you put the effort in, you can find me and we can have a chat, or a chin wag, as we used to say back in London. Little chat, chin wag, and see if we can have some fun together.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. Guys, go check out Dave. Great stories. We'll get all of the info in the show notes. And if you guys got any value out of this, please feel free to give it a share. It will change someone's life. We don't care about the likes and subscribes, and we will catch you all on the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast. Do us a favor and like, comment, and share our broadcast. It helps the algorithm and helps us spread the word too. Till next time, thank you for tuning in.